The first thing I wanted to talk about is a headline that actually almost 20 people, right? 20 followers of mine have sent me. Bank of America has rolled out a zero down, zero closing costs, no minimum score, no mortgage insurance loan. I did learn this morning that's only for 5 cities: Miami, LA, Detroit, Charlotte, Dallas. Look at that. I remembered them all. So it's a pretty small footprint, but when I read that headline, zero down, potentially giving loans to people who can't afford it, I have flashbacks to the run-up, right? In 2005, the exotic products came out, and the crash didn't start in 2005. It came out, it built, and it was never the first program like this one, but it's the 17th that copies it. And dude, we could be on a bad path. I mean, this is like, are we serious? I mean, that's how I saw it, but I'm not sure what you thought of it.
Well, first, let me congratulate you. You're up to 20 followers now, so
Woo-hoo!
great job.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's number one. Number two, so I haven't read the fine print and the details of qualification. Sure. So this is very different than the last time, and this is what the crisis started with last time, was subprime lending in lower income areas, getting people into houses, with the big push, from the administration back then to, get everybody into home ownership, because that is the American dream for a lot of people, right? But not everybody needs to and should be a homeowner, all the time. And I apologize for my voice. I have COVID. I got it last week and I'm still dealing with it. So my voice is kind of in and out, but, so that's number one. So there are some people that have good jobs, good steady income, but don't have the down payment, so if they're qualifying people that have a good credit history, have good stable employment, and still have to, qualify in that regard, then it could be a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just, there are some people that legitimately need assistance. Now, we've had zero down programs in a lot of states where you can go through the housing authority and get into a house with little, zero or little money down. So I think that's the biggest difference. I think this time around, they're going to at least still qualify people. They're starting in a few markets, whereas last time it was a nationwide thing. Yeah. There was no qualification. It was like anybody could get a loan. So it's very different, very small percentage of the market, very small demographic. And the good news is, in some of these markets, the housing market is shifting. So some people might be able to actually use this program to get into a home that otherwise couldn't, that is a qualified borrower other than a down payment.
Yeah. So I want to do a couple of things. So first off, this individual program, I don't know any specifics about, but yes, I think your statement is correct. They must still qualify. So it's still a good loan. It's just like, hey, I can't save the down payment for whatever reason. So I think,
and believe it or not, there's a lot of people that make, $200,000 a year, like professionals, doctors, lawyers, whatever, professional, tech workers that can't save up for a down payment because they're paying off student loans. They're living big lifestyles, nice cars, things like that. Yeah. And they can't put together a down payment. There's a lot of builders that, will build people a house and get them into a house without them having to put money down through creative financing through the building, because they've got great credit, they've got good income, they just can't save a down payment. So there's a lot of people in that position.
No, I totally agree. And I think it's very worthwhile. I'm a firm believer of getting on the property ladder, but I want you to stay on the property ladder. I saw too many people in the last crisis get on and they get kicked off and then destroyed, and really hurts generations, right? When mom and dad lose the house, it hurts the kids, right? The kids remember that, and they may be renters longer than they should because of what happened to mom and dad. So I want to be very clear. I think there's a wonderful program as long as it's real lending. And let's also not forget that, this 2005 iteration, or maybe it was even late 2004, the first program wasn't the problem. It was when it became the model that all others copied, because to your point, subprime, this is from memory, so it won't be accurate, but I think it'll be close. Subprime, if you go back to 2003, made up somewhere between 8 and 11% of all loans. By the end of 2006, it was 53%. It just became the answer for everyone, right? Again, the other thing that I see about today, this program in 2005, is in 2005, we just had 2 years of crazy appreciation, like today. Then I don't know if you know this, Greg, but banks are in the business of making money. And how they make money is lending. So if you're in a market that's unaffordable, like today, you have to create programs that pulls from whoever's left. And if national affordability on a scale of 1 to 100 is a 30 and 25 is like a red flag, there's just not that many other people available. So you have to do exotic things like zero down. Like last time, it's now illegal. You give a 1% loan for 2 years and then it resets at 9%. That's how they did it last time. So again, I'm not concerned about this program. If it's in 5 markets, it won't be big enough to destroy the market. I'm afraid about what may follow. That's like PTSD for me. It's like, God, this could just be the start of craziness.
Yeah, history often repeats, and we often forget the lessons of the past very quickly. And we already saw, here recently with bank statement loans, no income verification, no doc loans. I mean, that kind of stuff's come back.
It's coming back, yeah.
You still had to kind of qualify with a good credit score and things like that. But there's been some loans originated over the last few years, and especially in the commercial market, with what we've seen there. There's been a lot of easy credit in the commercial markets with multifamily and things like that with these interest-only bridge loans and stuff that is very interesting. But again, the difference this time is the lack of available inventory. So it's going to be limited in that regard. Prices are so high. It's it's going to be difficult for these deals to work out in a lot of markets at scale versus last time where it was just a nationwide plunge. And there was plenty of inventory, plenty of houses to choose from, and plenty of people wanting to buy houses.
Yeah, this is actually a topic that came up on my Saturday live stream. And it basically if you copy Bank of America's program but make it national and make it federal backed, or however, basically Fannie and Freddie will buy all of these loans. That's these are things that freak me out. Like if Fannie and Freddie said, hey, we will buy all of these zero down loans, let's call the program, I don't know, home ownership 2.0, whatever they're going to call it. It'll be some silly name. And what's going to happen is banks will go, okay, great. I can't do refis. Refis are off 83%. Other loans aren't working. I'm going to sick all of my operators on this. We're going to flood the market with people doing these loans. What will happen is, again, more demand. What is already happening, as you've just said, is inventory is nowhere to be found. And I think going lower, which is frightening.
Yeah, we're coming into the soft season for housing inventory.
Exactly. The winter months. Oh my goodness. Right. And then what happens is one part of the market, the low end, the first time home buyer inventory, which is already unicorn status, it will jump up 10, 15, 20% because of these federally backed loans and all of the push. And it will become a bubble all by itself as it just builds and builds and builds. And again, that's kind of PTSD for me. I mean, I own a lot of these single family homes in my market. And I told somebody over the weekend on the live stream, it was like, if they did this at a national scale, my affordable homes could jump from 300 to 500 overnight, right? Not overnight really, but over 6 months. And I said, I'd sell everything because it's unaffordable. I mean, it's just, it freaks me out. And maybe I'm worried about nothing, but I'm worried about copycats.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's time for worry right now. I think it's still early. It's very limited, small market. We'll see even what type of impact it makes. But I think, like I said, for people that otherwise couldn't buy a home, that have every availability to be able to do it, they can qualify. They need one. They should be able to get one. I think it's going to be good for those individuals. But I don't think it's going to see something that's going to benchmark at scale. There just isn't enough inventory out there to ruin the housing market like before. And even in your area, I mean, your market's one of the ones that's correcting heavily. I mean, we talked last week about Blackstone pulling out, and
yeah, we did pulling out of Fresno.
Yeah, that's one of the markets that's targeted for massive correction. And but this is such an interesting time for the housing market, and especially going into the fall and winter. We've already got limited inventory. We're seeing inventory reduce, even though listings are increasing in some markets. We're seeing it reduce in others. It's a fascinating time in the housing market.
Yeah. The other thing that Brian Lebo, who's my Vegas agent, will be on tomorrow to talk about Las Vegas. He did some math for me over the last month. And in 2021, Vegas averaged, I'm going to use round numbers, 300 cancellations, 300 listing cancellations a month, 300. Last month, 1,677. up 300. Again, this is all wish pricing, want to sell versus need to sell. I really expect as we get to the middle of September, as schools kick off again, there'll be more and more. Like the listing spike we saw, it was always fake. Because again, I think there was 10, 15, 20% of wish pricing. And if you whack 20% of inventory, we're going to go to record lows again pretty quick.
Yeah, what's really interesting too is the higher the rates go, obviously the more demand that destroys for new buyers, but it also destroys, interest of sellers wanting to sell.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a double-edged sword. We want rates to go higher so that it'll correct the demand and bring more inventory online, but it's actually creating less inventory at the same time because the sellers are like, well, what the heck, man? There's no houses out there. They're record high levels still. I'm not going to pay 6 or 7% when I'm paying 2 to 4% right now, 2.5 to 4. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah, the Fed broke housing. It's going to be broken for years. The only thing that fixes this, in my opinion, is time. I am concerned about government intervention, and it's these kind of first-time homebuyer programs that they'll do, and it will just distort the market. It will take the low end where there's the least inventory, and it'll distort it with artificial demand. So that is a big concern.
Here's the interesting thing too, is when you do the math and you look at a 30-year amortized mortgage at 2.5%, if the prices were adjusting correctly, it would be the same, as a 30-year mortgage at 6% if you bought the house for 30 or 40% less than right now. Problem is there's no houses, there's no price adjustments at that level, for that to work out to where it's kind of a wash. There just isn't anything out there. So it's crazy, man. It's gonna be interesting to watch and see how long it takes and how high rates go, for this stuff to correct.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about it last week. We'll end with this. I think rates will have a 7 on it sometime Q1 of 2020.
Potentially. I mean, they're headed that way. It's all about bond yields, right? And yields are under pressure right now. So if the
QT
Fed
kicks in,
they start rolling off treasuries, then yields arguably should go up. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that works. And I mean, I think there's some analysts out there that are putting the four handle on treasuries. So if you get treasuries in the 4s, you're going to get definitely mortgage rates in the 7s.
Well, dude, there's actually a couple people talking about the Fed funds at 4.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's their target. I mean, that's where they need to get.
Right. And then that would probably put the 10-year, it got to have a 5 on it, right? You would think.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, 4 is pretty aggressive. I don't know. When's the last time we saw a 5 on 10 years?
Oh, it's probably 2003 or 4, probably.
Yeah. So, one step at a time. The Fed funds rate right now has to get to 4%. I mean, I think everybody knows that inflation is very different even than what they thought during the pandemic, not just transitory, this, that, and the other, but it's a whole different, global animal now that's not going away because of wages, because of, just the way the world's changed through everything the last couple of years. I mean, this inflation's not going anywhere.
Yeah. I'm actually not going to watch headline. I think headline comes down, gas is down, but it's going to be core. I think we may have an opportunity where headline comes down, but core goes up. And that'll just be a big kerfuffle for the Fed to work on. Yeah,
once rents and housing hits into the calculations, that's going to make a big difference. Gas has definitely been coming down. It's coming down more. Obviously, OPEC is trying to talk oil prices back up again.
Yeah, they just did a cut today. I don't know if you saw that.
Well, they said they're going to. I don't know if they actually have done it.
No, they haven't done it yet. I believe it starts October 1st.
So they're trying to talk the markets up, and we'll see if they follow through with it. But that's 100,000 barrels a day they're talking about decreasing because they don't like oil under $90 a barrel.
Yeah, clearly. Exactly. Well, do me a favor, Greg. Where can people find you?
GregDickerson.com. That's where all my info is. Go check it out.
Thank you, buddy.